The International Hobo is a slightly unusual organisation. We provide games design and dialogue scripting services, but we're effectively a very virtual company. Although there is an office space currently in Manchester, not everybody works out of that office space. Ernest is in London. Another person who is working with us is in Colorado. And effectively, we provide a great variety of services in the fields of game design and dialogue scripting for mostly developers and the occasional publisher. And for the most part, we deliver on a milestone schedule, so it's almost like having extra design or script resources for that company, but positioned externally. So we sort of slot into existing companies as an additional resource, and therefore provide what's needed and when it's needed, both at the concept phase, throughout main development, parametric design or parametric tweaking in the backstage of development. Pretty much everything that falls under the remit of a games designer or a game writer, we will deliver as a service to our clients. Specialists in games design and dialogue scripting, yes. We have two experienced game designers expressly, two experienced game writers, but there's a lot of crossover, there's a lot of common ground between the two. So Richard, for instance, is a game writer, but he has a lot of game design skills as well. He just doesn't necessarily paint himself in that way. And Neil, who works with me, is more of a hands-on troubleshooter. He's the kind of person who will look at something up and running and has a real instinct for causes of frustration. He can look at a game as it's running and identify things that are likely to be causes of frustration for players. So collectively, the team has very complementary skills. It's no secret that, for instance, we've done a lot of dialogue scripting jobs for THQ, providing cartoon license adaptations, finding ways to get the story elements that work in the cartoon to work in a game context. But there are also smaller publishers that use us perhaps for concept design, often on an overflow basis. When their core team doesn't have the capacity to respond to a particular situation, we may get called in because we have the specific focus. We can deliver very quickly concept documents for a specific situation. We're a very flexible resource in that respect.
Can you cite...
Oh, I should also mention 3D People, which is a Slovakian-based company. We do all of their design work for them in return for a share of revenue of the games that they develop, which has been very mutually beneficial for both them and us. And we recently set up a company called Fantasy Labs in India. So we effectively created our own client in this case. I had some contacts from the Indian, well, there isn't really an Indian games industry, but from animation, who are with an interest in games, and we worked with them to put together what may well be India's first console game development company. The message of the whole concept of play styles is that people play games for different reasons and in different ways. And if there's any other, if there's any central message that I'm trying to get across, it's that there isn't one central element to play, that there is a diversity of play, and that when you're designing games, it's important to really look at why it is that the players that you're hoping will be playing your game will be enjoying what they're doing, how they will be going about it. It's all about identifying the common trends in the diversity of approaches to play. And the models I discussed in the talk are three specific models, but I don't think any single model is ever going to fully capture the diversity of play. It's all about trying to explore new ways of looking at it in order to better understand how and why people play games.
So, if I'm a Montreal-based publisher, I can call you in the UK and tell you, I have this game, I'm not sure who I'm really targeting, I'm having problems with the narrative,
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing that does happen. Often queries are more couched in terms of we need this for such and such a date, and can you deliver it on time? But yes, certainly these sort of problem areas are the sort of situation that we could be brought in on to influence or input on a development process. But the core team, certainly, my preference is to try and work on projects all the way through where possible. But it would be wrong to say that all of our work focuses on the entire development process. There is a certain degree that is consulting on the early stages of a project, and really refining the audience expectations, the concept of who the game is likely to be played by, and also looking at how the different players who might be attracted to the game might be used as a resource for self-promotion of the game, because when people enjoy playing a game, they talk about it and they become evangelists for the games they enjoy. So there's this real potential by identifying who can be the evangelists for a particular game, you have the potential to sort of create positive word of mouth by meeting the play needs of the core players in the audience for a game.